Speedway Report is produced and broadcast by the Zeus Radio Network for Racers Reunion Radio. NASCAR's national tours converged on Atlanta Motor Speedway. The World of Outlaws continued the year out of Florida Speed Weeks on the dirt in Texas. The Cars Tour held the Dogwood 300 doubleheader right here in North Carolina. All this and more. Welcome to Speedway Report for Monday, March the 6th, 2017. From the shores of Lake Norman in Race City, USA, Mooresville, North Carolina, I'm Patrick Reynolds, and thank you for joining us tonight. From the North Myrtle Beach ZRN Studios, producer Jeff Gilder is giving us 4 tires and fuel for our run to the checkered flag at the top of the hour. This is the fastest half hour in racing. Big hello to everyone joining us on Racers Reunion Radio. We are heard on SpeedwayReport.com and RacersReunion.com. There's a radio player on both sites. We are also streaming on Facebook Live and the Racers Reunion site. Head on over to the Facebook page Speedway Report with Patrick Reynolds, or go to RacersReunion.com and you can watch the TV broadcast. And if you are on Facebook, go to the page Speedway Report with Patrick Reynolds. We'd appreciate it if you give us a like. We enjoy bench racing with you 7 days a week, not just on Monday nights. We're basically talking racing all the time. And our broadcasts are archived on SpeedwayReport.com. Just go to the top ribbon, hit the TV button, and you can watch tonight's show as well as past episodes. Just to round out social media, you can tweet me directly at SpeedwayPat. Hope all of you are enjoying the new look of the Racers Reunion website. We've got a good crew bench racing in there tonight. So if you'd like to join the conversation, head to RacersReunion.com. Let's jump on over to the Speedway Report Victory Lane lap. Everybody that pretty much had a stock car or a sprint car was competing a few weeks ago down in Speed Weeks in Florida. Several of those tours left Florida, hit a racetrack again. Most are home in the shop waiting for their regular season openers. Not so much for NASCAR's 3 National Series. They kept the momentum up strong in Atlanta, Georgia, where the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series raced yesterday. The win was taken by Brad Keselowski. There's more to the story on that. Saturday's Xfinity race was won by Kyle Busch. And yes, there's more to the story on that. And the truck race was taken by Christopher Bell, young up-and-coming driver there out of the sprint car ranks. He's got a bright future in NASCAR. The World of Outlaws Sprints headed west to Texas. They raced Friday night in Kilgore, where Donnie Schatz was the winner of the A-Main. They tried to get in their event on Saturday in Willis. That race was rained out and postponed to Thursday, April 13th. The Cars Tour was right at home here in Kenly, North Carolina, with a doubleheader Dogwood 300. 150 laps for the super late models, as well as 150 laps for the late model stock cars. The super late model race was won by Matt Craig, and the late model stock car event taken by Lee Pulliam. Pulliam, a strong runner in the Mid-Atlantic late model stock car races, as well as a former guest right here on our show. Let's take a look at Kyle Busch's Xfinity Series win, which is now known as an encumbered win. This is a vocabulary term we all had to learn last year, that NASCAR was going to assign those cars that did not pass tech inspection. That is just the problem that Kyle Busch's Joe Gibbs Racing entry had after taking the checkered flag Saturday in Atlanta. The front end of the car was found to be too low, both the left and right front corners, not just one, but both. By how much? Not an 18th or a 16th, which we see some of these guys do, but by a full inch. And when you're heading through tech inspection, post-race or pre-race, 1 inch is a lot. Not a lot of tolerance there, or none at all really. A full inch low, that's pretty big. We are expecting penalties to be announced this week, possibly in the points or the monetary direction that NASCAR may take the team. Usually that's it, points and money. Now, Kyle Busch is not eligible for driver points in the Xfinity Series. However, his team and his car are eligible for owner's points, so that could be detrimental to them. Now, a conversation started with this encumbered idea last year. Actually, it pops up probably at least once a season about these penalties. The driver and the team keep the win, yet the penalty is announced that week as far as dollars and points go. I would like to see these guys disqualified. I have nothing against Kyle Busch or Joe Gibbs Racing. I have no agenda here. I just think it is the right thing to do. They do this in short track racing all the time. Go to your weekly Friday or Saturday night short track. If a car does not pass tech inspection, he's disqualified. And the next highest finishing car that does pass tech will be awarded the win, whether that's the second place driver, the third place driver, what have you. That's how they do the scoring. The drivers and teams just move up in the tech passing department until you get a winner. I would like to see that in the Premier NASCAR Series, the 3 National Series. Often they keep the win, and there's just a money or points penalty during the week. The France family decades ago, generations ago, wanted fans to know who won the race when they left the racetrack. Checkered flag flew over the roof of a car. Definitely, that was your winner. You can penalize them later. When I look at this from the fan standpoint, I look at this and I leave the track and find out later my driver won the race, or a particular driver won the race, yet they were illegal. I want to know what I just saw. Did I truly see who won the race? Is that the driver that won the race? That just does not sit well with me. If I see a guy win the race and find out later he was disqualified, I understand that they did not pass tech inspection post-race. They got the win taken away from them. It's a bummer for what I saw, but I think that's much more legit and establishes credibility back into the premier divisions of NASCAR, their national series, if they were disqualified. Conversely, let's talk about this. Another Atlanta penalty. On Sunday, A.J. Allmendinger was found to have 3 loose lug nuts after the Atlanta race. 17 were tight, 3 were loose, and his crew chief, Randall Burnett, is facing a 3-race suspension and a $65,000 fine if we go directly by the rulebook. Now, granted, that is a safety issue. This became a hot topic within the last few years when NASCAR, for a period of time, stopped policing tight lug nuts as cars exited pit road, and now that is a black and white issue of how hard of a penalty and a slap on the wrist that is. Actually, it's more than a slap on the wrist. It's a severe penalty. I ask, does NASCAR have this right where a team like Kyle Busch or Joe Gibbs Racing could keep the win, yet a team like A.J. Allmendinger gets hit pretty hard? I question whether NASCAR has this correct. Are we coming down too hard on Allmendinger and not hard enough on Kyle Busch? I think so. I think if you win the race and are found illegal, the win should be taken away from you. Now, I don't want to take anything away from the safety issue. Loose lug nuts should be a serious offense, but it seems like if we're in the world of this, should the punishment fit the crime, we ought to have a second look at that situation right there. Kevin Harvick, he was the dominant driver at Atlanta with the fastest car. He has also had a history of troubles on pit road with his pit crew with slow stops, costing him wins. Yesterday, shoe was on the other foot. Harvick was the guy who made the error on pit road, speeding. Yes, a speeding penalty. Got caught by NASCAR on the final restart, got put to the end of the field, still charged forward to 9th, but you got to wonder if some of his former crew members may have a little grin about them on Monday morning. We've got more from Atlanta coming up, including why all those speeding penalties on the other drivers occurred, as well as stages. We're 2 weekends in, I should say. What do you think? We'll find out. You're watching Speedway Report. I'm Patrick Reynolds. We'll be back right after this.
Are you looking for ways to generate more sales? Of course you are. Recent research indicates that companies with video messages convert 41% more traffic to their websites. Last year, social video content generated 1,200% more shares than text and images combined, and consumer watched over 8,000 years of video a day on YouTube. Watching 1 minute of video has the equivalent impact of reading 1.8 million words of text. Consumers report that they are 4 times more likely to watch a video about a product than read about it, and 67% of consumers say video increases their chance of purchase. Storytelling makes up 2/3 of our daily interaction. Our brains relate and recall stories naturally. You should be convinced by now that video and effective video marketing can be the solution you're looking for. Zeus Digital Marketing can imagine, create, and deliver your message to those waiting to consume it. Why wait? Tell your story. Contact us today for a free consultation.
It's your Speedway Report now. Race day rock. It's your facts from the track. Race day rock. It's the Speedway Report now. This is how we rock. This is how we roll.
Welcome back to Speedway Report. I am Patrick Reynolds. Thanks for joining us tonight. When we left off, we were talking about the increased speeding penalties at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Kevin Harvick had the win taken away from him essentially because he was speeding on pit road with a dominant car in yesterday's 500. All totaled, there was close to 9 or 10 speeding penalties on pit road, when in this race 1 year ago, there was only one speeding penalty. Well, what happened? Good question. NASCAR has had a standard measurement for the Atlanta pit road for many, many years. The drivers, the crew chiefs, they all knew it. The timing lines were consistent year to year. They knew the spaces, they knew the feet, they knew the length of pit road. NASCAR did a remeasurement of pit road, new calibration. They actually changed where they measured, how they measured, and came up with a different length in feet for pit road. Now, pit road didn't change at all. They just recalibrated their measurements, did an updated measurement. It changed a little bit. Through the domino effect, that changed the timing lines that were on pit road. So the feet of each timing line changed a little bit, backwards and forwards, up and down pit road. Is that a big deal? Yes, quite a bit. If you take, say, for instance, a 100-foot section and you only change that by, say, 10 feet, that is 10%. That is a huge amount when you're talking a speed tolerance with their pit road speeds and how they police them. They do give these guys a little bit of tolerance. It is not 10% when it comes to their speed limit heading up and down pit road. That changed, and everybody had their tacks, gears, basically their engines all set ready to go for the speed limits and pit road length that they had in previous years. Now, this was not a surprise to the drivers and crew chiefs. They knew this ahead of time going into the Atlanta race. However, when they look back at their notes and previous records of Atlanta Motor Speedway, they know the pit road, the timing lines, that's where they all there. And I think everybody had that mindset of where they were in years past. Hence, a lot of guys got busted on Sunday for speeding on pit road. High increase of pit road speeding penalties. That was essentially the cause. Remeasurement, recalibration on the length of pit road, change the timing lines. Everybody knew in their head from years past where they were. I think they were in that mindset. It carried over. A lot of folks got in trouble with speeding. This was weekend number 2 for the brand new stages that NASCAR is using for its top 3 national series. What are the pros and cons of this, and how is it affecting the racing? I reached out to some of our friends on social media. I will share that with you shortly. The good part about these stages is that it does provide a natural break in the action for our television broadcast partners to put those commercials. Racing is one of the few sports where the action did not end and TV would have to break away. You had actually missed some of the sporting event to show a commercial. Every other sport has built-in spots, either quarters, they can take TV or radio timeouts, halftime, what have you. They have that built into their activities where television broadcast partners place commercials. Auto racing does not have that. It is under this agreement that the TV partners place as many ads as possible during that time frame. So they have a little bit of an extended period. That yellow is 5-6 laps. People in the stands are not really caring for that too much. However, people watching at home know that this is where the ads will go. They're not missing anything. Coverage is oftentimes in the small box in the corner, but it's under caution. TV partners can also break away fully. You're not missing anything. The cars are under caution at that time. That is a pro to this. It is designed also to spice up the midpoints of the race. There have been complaints from fans that these guys ride through the middle portions of the race. I've never had a problem with that. I don't mind the length of the events. They capture my attention through the entire distance. 400, 500 miles on a Sunday afternoon is good for me. I'm fine with that. Heck, I used to remember the 500-mile, 500-lap races at Dover. Those events would go 4 to 5 hours depending on the caution flag. For your ticket price, I thought it was well worth it. I enjoyed those long races. This form of motorsports, when drivers elevate their way off the short tracks, is supposed to be an endurance test. This is supposed to be for the best of the best. I don't have a problem with that. I don't need a break in the middle of that. I am a fan of fundamental racing. Green flag, white flag, checkered flag. Whatever happens in between, let's just let it naturally play out. Guys are racing to a stage for points. We know a caution's coming out. They're racing to another stage, a caution coming out. The stages plus the playoffs or the chase or whatever you like to call it, to me takes away from the fundamentals of motorsports. We're trying to make this too much like stick and ball sports. I don't care for stick and ball sports. I'm a car guy. I'm a race guy. If it's got an engine and go fast, I do not want racing to be like other stick and ball sports. If you use a baseball, basketball, football analogy for auto racing, well, they do it in such and such a sport. That's a reason to me not to do it. I'm a fan of cars. I'm a fan of how we do things in motorsports. Other events, other races, other series don't follow this pattern. NASCAR is really getting out there in the end of a branch on this tree, and it could be thin for them soon. Maybe it'll work out. I don't know. We will see what happens. Like I said, I did ask some of our followers and friends on social media what they thought of the stages so far. And on the Speedway Report Facebook page, let me tell you what some folks said. Lance Renshaw says, on the stages, it's awful. If this was tried at a local track, the owner/promoter would be run off the property. Ronald White says, reminded me of why I stopped being a NASCAR fan. Stacy Lynn Coburn says, as a new race fan, I find it more interesting to watch, as do many of my friends. Like with anything, change is hard, but sometimes necessary to shake things up. Lisa Gendron Biaski, we don't like it at all. Just let them run. Too many changes and rules. Miss the old days. Wayne Gregory, it hasn't changed racing at all. The only thing I think will change it is get rid of France and 1.5 mile tracks. Izzy Gratterall, don't like it at all. I want the 80s and 90s NASCAR back. Stacy St. John, 2 races in, and I am ready for my IndyCar season. LOL. And Jay Tate, I'm enjoying it. He went on to elaborate a little bit. I like it from a marketing point of view. TV and sponsors have a better idea of when their advertisements will show. That's a plus. I also enjoy it bunching the field up during different points of the race. I'll enjoy it more through the year as crew chiefs get more creative to try to get an advantage after they figure it out more. These are somewhat the scheduled debris cautions, as people always like to accuse NASCAR of doing when a race got strung out a little bit. Jay brings up a good point, as we've had Daytona and Atlanta so far. The Tours, NASCAR, or Xfinity and Cup head to Las Vegas this weekend, another 1.5 miles. This may put them in a box as far as speedways, 1.5 miles, the downforce and short tracks go. Where this could come into play definitely would be the road courses and big tracks like Pocono, where the laps are very, very long, very mild, or take a long time to get around. That could give the crew chiefs a little bit of creativity as far as their strategy go. I want to thank all of you for watching this evening. This has been Speedway Report from the shores of Lake Norman in Race City, USA, produced and broadcast by the Zeus Radio Network for Racers Reunion Radio. Don't go anywhere. BP, JB, and BS are coming right up at the top of the hour on Racing and Rockin' with Draglist.com. A reminder to like our Facebook page, Speedway Report with Patrick Reynolds, and I am on Twitter at Speedway Pat. Thank you all for joining us tonight. We will see you next Monday on Racers Reunion Radio, SpeedwayReport.com, and Facebook Live. Good night.